Welcome to OmVibes meditation channel. Sometimes a sound, a sentence can enlighten us in the chaos of life. In this narration that will be good for your soul and take you on a deep inner journey, you will discover the divine aspects of Virgo and the unique spiritual depth it carries. If you feel like you are a part of this silent service, the unseen but felt goodness, like our video, subscribe to our channel and help more souls hear this voice. The spirit of Virgo bearers from Ibn-i. If you are ready, close your eyes now and find yourself in this unique narration. Virgo, the sign of purity and wisdom. Virgo is a special sign born with a deep breath where purity and wisdom come together. It searches for everything, pays attention to every detail. It notices flaws, but as much as it is passionate about order, it also feels the deep needs behind this order. Purification. Virgo is not just a character obsessed with cleanliness. It is a being who wants to be cleansed spiritually. Cleanliness is not just an external issue for it. It is a search related to intention and heart. The world is a place to be cleaned in its eyes. Man is a being to be purified. Therefore, Virgo's life is shaped by an effort to establish order. However, this effort often turns inward and turns into a test in the heart. A heart that wants to complete everything often deeply feels its own shortcomings. This is where the divine names come into play: al-Hakim and al-Quddus. Al-Hakim represents the name that does everything in its proper place and with wisdom. Virgo wants a life that is not only orderly but also wise. Al-Quddus is the name of the purified and pure. The restlessness within Virgo is a manifestation of this name. Virgo's critical and detailed side is actually a prayer. Let everything be in its proper place and clean. This prayer is silent, but the effort it takes to live it is intense and tiring, because it is often the hardest on itself when seeking perfection. Virgo's greatest test begins here. Not perfection, but mercy. The search for order can harden human errors to the point of intolerance. But life is beautiful with its mistakes, and God's order is not only rules, but also mercy. That's why the state that suits Virgo the most is silent service. Being modest but wise, Ibn-i says, "The name Hakim is not for the one who does everything, but for the one who does it in its proper place." In other words, wisdom is not just knowing, but knowing when, how, and how much. And Virgo was created for this wisdom, but this wisdom is not hidden in books, but in a smile, a silence, a detail. And most of all, in the good deed done invisibly. Virgo came to this world to serve invisibly. It is not its light, but its measure. It is not to show the way, but to find the way. And this is a duty that is not insignificantly valuable. Virgo may seem critical, overwhelmed with details, or a perfectionist from the outside. However, they carry a constant prayer inside. Please let everything be in its place and clean. This prayer is silent and unspoken, but they strive to make it happen, sometimes neglecting themselves. Because for them, it is essential not only to clean a place, but also to clarify the soul. This intense effort of Virgo can turn into fatigue, even exhaustion over time. Because a soul that seeks perfection often gets tired, not from the outside world, but from within itself. When a job is not completed, when an order is broken, a storm breaks out within itself before anyone else. Because a mistake, deficiency, or confusion is not just a functional problem in their mind, but a deep call for responsibility. This is where Virgo's greatest test begins: learning to forgive themselves. A heart that becomes harsh on itself while pursuing perfection will break after a while. And this breakage is not only a mental, but also a spiritual collapse. The way to soften this fragility is through a deep connection established with the divine names. The recitation of al-Quddus opens a door to clean not only the outside, but also the inside. That cleansing brings not only physical, but also emotional and intellectual purification. For Virgo, real cleansing begins with simplification. But this journey of simplification can be thrown to two extremes, either excessive control or introversion. That is why the recitation of al-Hakim lightens Virgo's mind and heart. It reminds them that not everything has a plan, and that sometimes there can be wisdom even in imperfections. Virgo often feels that all the hard work they have done is not seen. This feeling of worthlessness can be deeply hurtful. In these moments, Ya Rafi lifts them back to their feet spiritually. A Virgo who can say, "Only the Creator knows my value," regains their inner strength. And then comes the deepest name, Ya Shakur, the grateful, the one who does not leave unanswered. Sometimes Virgo feels that the good deeds she does and the effort she puts in are not appreciated, but when she experiences this name, she understands that no good deed goes unrewarded in the divine book. This realization transforms her service from being just a duty to a spirit, because for Virgo, life should not be woven with order but with meaning. There is an intention hidden in everything she does. This intention flows even in the words she does not say, in the cleaning she does, in the plate of food she shares. Ibn Arabi says, "The one who does a job with truth and pure intention does not have to be seen." And Virgo is the most noble representative of this unseen service. She speaks without speaking, teaches without telling. She tells a sentence with a look, conveys 1,000 emotions with a silence. But this silence is often misunderstood. They are seen as uninterested, distant, or withdrawn. However, Virgo's love is sincere but unpretentious, like a cup of tea. They don't say "I love you," but you feel it. They secretly care. They protect you without you realizing it. And sometimes, not being able to show this love tires them out inside. Not being able to express themselves, not being understood, creates a shadow inside them. At this very moment, the recitation of Ya Latif comes into play. Latif, the Lord of subtleties and emotions, softens Virgos inside, and they no longer see themselves as little or much. They just become themselves, quiet, measured, deep. Virgo shines behind the scenes, not in the spotlight. Unpretentious but meaningful. They do things that no one sees, but everything they do is like a prayer. They set a table, straighten a curtain, caress a child. And while doing all this, they whisper this silently to themselves. Just breathing is enough today. This awareness is his inner awakening. It is the moment when a soul meets the divine, because Virgo has come to this world to serve unseen, and every unseen service is visible in the sight of God. In today's world, speed, voice, visibility, and focus on success have become criteria. Whoever talks more, whoever is more visible, whoever gets more likes is considered valuable. However, Virgo has a hard time adapting to the system of this world, because its measure is not outside but inside. It looks at how intentionally it does something, not how visible it is. However, unfortunately, this silence is interpreted as a deficiency in the eyes of the modern world. As long as Virgo's labor, attention, and order are not noticed, a silent fracture occurs inside. Over time, this fracture turns into the following sentence: "Nobody notices. Why am I still trying so hard?" This is not just an inner voice for it, but a spiritual test. Because Virgo finds meaning in its existence. And when the work it does is not rewarded and starts to lose its meaning, it is not only a disappointment for it, but also causes it to question its identity. At this point, another name that lifts the Virgo spirit comes into play: Ya Basit, the one who opens and expands narrowness. Virgo's mind often narrows, becomes concentrated and constricted by details. This name opens a new breathing space in the inner world. The mind that tries to solve, fix, and gather everything stops for a moment, and understands that sometimes doing nothing is doing a lot. Another inner understanding that comes after this name is the effect of the dhikr Ya Shakur, because Bashak does everything she does with great effort and high responsibility. But most of the time, she cannot see the appreciation of this effort. This dhikr reminds her, every good deed is written in a divine book. Your labor will not go to waste. Bashak is sometimes a teacher. She touches the hearts of thousands of students, but her name is not remembered. Sometimes she is a mother. She prays while everyone is asleep, but no one hears. Sometimes she is a worker. She sweeps the streets in the silence of the night, but no one sees. But Bashak knows that her service is a prostration rising to the sky. And in the sight of Allah, this invisible service is the most valuable. Unfortunately, the concept of service has also been devalued in the modern world. Now serving is perceived as a low-level task. However, according to the masters of Sufism, service is the greatest door opening to Allah. Carrying a heart, brewing a cup of tea, putting a room in order. All of these are forms of worship, and Virgo is the embodiment of this worship. But this high sensitivity can make Virgo lonely, because no one thinks as delicately as he does, no one notices as much as he does. And this loneliness often turns into the question, who am I? The answer is sought inwardly. Why am I in this world? The answer is in the most honest answer Virgo can give to himself, because his journey begins with forgetting himself while repairing others. But one day, when he gets tired and starts to fix his inside, not the outside, the real transformation begins. That morning, the house may be messy. She may feel tired, even exhausted. But she still parted the curtains and opened the window, and took a breath and said, "Just breathing is enough today. Just existing is also an action today." From that moment on, Virgo's service is not only directed outward, but also inward. And this direction gradually heals her soul. Because now she does that service not for others, but for the truth. Ibn-i describes this state as follows. A person who does a job with truth does not present that job to people, but to Allah. Virgo establishes her inner balance with this realization. She no longer exhausts herself trying to fix someone else. She clings to the name when she sees herself lacking, and prays when she feels lonely. Because she understands that this world is a place of service, and her service is not just physical cleanliness, it is touching a soul, a heart, a system. The real transformation of Virgo begins when they stop trying to fix the outside and turn inward. When they start looking for more peaceful hearts, not tidier homes. When they realize that cleanliness is not just a surface, but a reflection. When they get tired of seeing their own shortcomings and start learning compassion. And perhaps when they sincerely say this sentence for the first time, "I am also a servant, I also have unfinished parts." This realization opens a brand new door in Virgo's life. Now instead of trying to be perfect, they try to be meaningful. Instead of criticizing, they turn to understanding. Instead of trying to solve, they sometimes allow themselves to just exist. Because they know that the solution to some things is not in effort, but in surrender. The great virtue hidden in silent heroism. Virgo's service is silent. It does not need a word. It is done without being seen, it is experienced without being told. But there is a great harmony in that silence. The prayer said while sweeping a room, the gratitude felt while watering a flower, the compassion felt while fixing a child's hair. These small but invisible moments determine Virgo's place in the divine system, because her heroism is hidden not in shouting but in continuing. Most of all, it is in her ability to continue when she is tired, hurt, and misunderstood. And this is perhaps the greatest virtue. Spiritual freedom and divine surrender. Virgo works with his mind but feels with his heart. While his mind counts the details, his heart opens to infinity. And one day, the inner voice says, "I am tired now. I don't have to organize everything. God is perfect." This surrender is the breaking of a chain for Virgo. It is the moment when he is freed from the desire to control, to fix, to be perfect. And at that moment, Virgo hears the voice of his heart. "I am valuable too. I am enough too. I am just serving." This inner journey, which he walks with the divine names, especially Ya Latif, Ya Quddus, Ya Hakim, Ya Shakur, Ya Rafi, and Ya Basit, is a healing process for him. Every dhikr repairs a broken place inside Virgo. Every prayer lightens the burdens inside him. And every service is not just a duty, it is a prostration. Virgo is called to repair the world with praying hands. Some signs lead the way, some light the fire, some transform with the crowd. But Virgo thrives in its loneliness. And that loneliness is not as dark as you think. There are thousands of prayers, thousands of intentions, thousands of divine echoes hidden in that loneliness. Because for Virgo, doing a job is not just producing, it is praying. Washing a plate, organizing a notebook, hugging a child, they are all a dhikr for her. And every dhikr is like a light that descends into this world unseen. Sometimes that light shines in a mother's hands, sometimes in the notes a teacher keeps in her notebook. That's why Virgo's duty is not completed when it is finished, but when she says, "I am at peace now." And her greatest light is not on the stage but behind the scenes. But every time the curtain opens, the shadow of that light falls on the stage. O Virgo, your duty is not just to serve order. Your journey is to heal the world with your spirit. And remember, your labor may not be applauded, but it becomes a prayer. You live invisibly, but you carry the most visible truth. Because you are not just a sign, you are a silent healer of the divine order.